Hello, everyone. I am Dimitris Charilas, member of the Technical Committee of OpenConf 2023. And today we have with us Baruch Sadogursky, who is a principal developer advocate for productivity engineering in Gradle. And today we're going to have the chance to talk to Baruch. He can tell us things about himself, his work, so we can get to know him before we see him in OpenConf in a few months. So let's start. Baruch, can you tell us a few things about yourself? Basically, about your career path. You've been in JFrog, you are now in Gradle. What are the things you are passionate about, your biggest accomplishments, anything you want, actually.
Sure. Dimitris, thank you for having me for this interview and obviously for the conference. I'm very excited to be one of the speakers. I'm looking forward. It's going to be so much fun. Going to be great. So yeah, Baruch Sadogursky. I'm principal developer advocate at Gradle now. Joined Gradle about half a year ago after 11 years at JFrog, when we started back in 2011 as the first developer advocate in JFrog when we were a small, tiny company, doing developer relations for JFrog around all things DevOps. But not only, we started as a tool for Java developers back in 2006. So my roots are developer working with specializing in the CI area, Maven and Gradle, back when Gradle just got started and Maven just got started. And then kind of we pivoted with JFrog to more of a DevOps side of things. Again, in CI, CD, continuous delivery, liquid software. It's one of the books that I co-wrote with the founders of JFrog, is the liquid software. You can see over there. And it's about delivering software, obviously. And now coming back to development, coming back to JVM ecosystem, and talking about developer productivity engineering, how developers can be more productive in what they are doing.
Mm-hmm. So what triggered you actually to get into this role? I mean, can you give us a few specifics about what your daily activities are, what kind of responsibilities this role has?
Yeah, so what brought me to care about developer productivity engineering is, I would say, the success of DevOps. What I mean by that is that DevOps as a movement came to an existence out of a real pain of operations productivity engineering. Operations were in the position in which they were pushed by the industry to an impossible role of being in charge of deploying and then operating software that they had no impact on designing, writing, or even preparing for deployment or operations. And DevOps is a movement that kind of arose from there. They were like, hey, we cannot work this way anymore. Let's do something so we as ops people can be more productive. And the solution was, okay, let's work together with developers and make sure that developers are part of this cycle of not only developing, but also operating. And in the end of the day, how do we make operations more productive? And it is a huge success. Obviously, every company by now doing DevOps, every company is DevOps company, and we have great tools that improve productivity of ops people. All the infrastructure as code tool set, starting from Terraform to AWS to Kubernetes, all of it is about how do we make operations more productive. And my question became in the last years like, okay, so we have operations are very productive, but what we see is the developers are don't really still after 10 years of trying to convince them are still do not care a lot about DevOps. They kind of try to stay away. They say we write code and we are not really into DevOps. And my question was why? And I think the answer is that while DevOps take care of the productivity of operations, it doesn't really take care of productivity of developers. Right? So yes, we write code as developers, and we might be good in that. But there are things in our work that impede our productivity, that make us less productive, and it has nothing to do with DevOps. It's stuff like the development environment that we work with. Are we are we using the best tool for the job? It's the source control. Are we using the most productive tool to actually for us to work together? It's our build tool, obviously. How long do we wait for our build, and what do we do while we wait? So let me ask you something, Dimitris. You are obviously a software engineer. How slow or fast is your build?
Well, I've been in projects where the build is frustratingly slow. I mean, even, if you want to change something that takes 30 seconds of your time, you may wait for a build more than 20 minutes or so, and even more until you are able to actually test your your 30-second change. So yeah, I know this feeling.
What do you do? What do you do when you wait for your build?
There is no good solution to that. Option one is simply do nothing and stare at the wall. Option two, which is also a bad one, you switch to another task. And that's my personal nightmare, because constant context switching, because then you have to go back and see, is the build failed? Oh, no, it isn't. Then we move on back to the other task. So yeah.
So this is exactly what my talk is about. We are going to talk about how both of those options are devastating for developer productivity engineering. And not only from our personal experience, what you shared, like they're not good. I know that they are not good options because I tried both of them and they both suck. But from a science perspective, we're going to talk about what this constant context switching is doing to our brain, and how, even without realizing it, we are actually writing worse code that we could without it.
Yeah,
why it happens?
Believe that. Yes.
What happens? What happens when this happens, and how can we avoid it?
I'm looking forward really to hearing your speech about this, and I think it's gonna help a lot of engineers. Any thoughts about your participation in OpenConf? Are you excited?
Oh, I'm very excited about the conference. I'm obviously very excited about the location, and just as a hint, you see the amazing skyline of Athens here in the bottom. Definitely one of my favorite places. I've been your neighbor for 25 years, living just across the pond in Israel. So I know the place. I love the place, and very excited to come back. And I'm very excited for my talk. It's actually a brand new talk. It's the first time that I'm going to deliver it, and it's very interesting because of the cognitive science that we are going to bring into it. Obviously, none of that is mine. It's based on a Nobel Prize researcher work, and you might heard about it. You might read it. Previously, there is a very famous book by Daniel Kahneman, which is called "Thinking Fast and Slow." And this is my talk is called Coding Fast and Slow. That's kind of playing on it. And in this book, Daniel Kahneman is speaking about System 1 and System 2 thinking. And what we are going to try to do in our talk is apply those paradigms of System 1 and System 2 thinking to coding and see how the context switching that we saw previously actually changed the way we use those systems while coding, what we should use, what we end up using, how we can change it for the better, and what is there to be done.
That is amazing. So since we are running out of time, I have a final question. Maybe the most important one, though. Are we going to see your famous hat?
Absolutely, of course. The hat comes with me wherever I travel. Actually, you can see here in the background, I have a backup because redundancy is important. So even if the upcoming month something to have to this one, I have another one to bring.
Okay, I'm happy with this answer. So we are really looking forward to meeting you in person in November. For everyone else, just get your early bird tickets and come and meet Baruch and hear how
Absolutely.
you can be more productive. Yeah, that's all. Thank you very much, Baruch.
I'm looking forward to see you, Dimitris, and see you all at the conference. It's going to be great, and we'll see you. I'll see you in November. Thank you. Bye bye.